Hey Kingdom Day Traders, hope you are all doing amazing today. I hope you had a good day. I thought I'll just come on and do a quick trade recap based on last night's live session and kind of just mesh a couple of ideas together. For instance, we were talking about you having a bias, and also now I want to look at what do you do when your bias is wrong, or perhaps when you initially saw it wrong. Now, of course, we need to have a bias. That I'm a big advocate for that. You have to have a bias from the get-go. However, you also need invalidation points, points at which you understand that your trade idea or your specific viewpoint was wrong, and therefore you should adjust. So I'm going to take you through the charts, kind of like how we saw it last night, and add a couple of other things as well. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on specific types of entries and things, because that's really for the mentorship, that's really for the live classes, but I want to give you the overall view of what we were looking at and how one could have executed on this particular trade. Also, a key fact I want to point out tonight is that you do not have to be first in the trade. You can take your time, you can sit back. As long as you have an objective in mind, you can take all the time you need. You don't have to get in immediately. And why you don't have to do that is because there's enough room in the FX market for you to take a wonderful and amazing trade, provided that you wait for all your rules and mechanisms to play out. So with that being said, let's jump onto the charts. We're going to have a look at GBPUSD, and we're going to see how we could have traded that. Okay, so initially, I'm sure you'll remember that we were really overall bearish. And I'm still bearish to a certain degree. I'll explain that in a bit. Because we were making lower highs and lower lows. Lower highs, lower lows. We assumed that this would be a possible lower high forming with an objective to make a lower low at that particular point. As you can see, that's a lower high, lower high, lower high, and we were breaking structure to the downside, continuously reinforcing the idea that on the daily chart, at least we were having some more bearish momentum. Now granted, the momentum has slowed a bit, because in this area versus this particular area, there was more distance and volume behind the candles. But that being said, we were still in a bearish market on the daily chart, right? So let's kind of keep that in mind and then sort of see what is actually playing out in here. So it's clear from the daily chart perspective that we were currently in a downtrend, right, in this section over here, with the expectation of going lower. Now let's have a look at the 4 hour. Now the 4 hour paints a little bit of a different picture, because the 4 hour gives us an indication that we were kind of in an uptrend. So we're going down, then up to the highest point, which is there, then to the lowest point, which is here, and then to the highest point, which is over there. Now, since we had broken this particular area over here, there was a very real possibility that we could now be seeing higher prices on the 4 hour, right? Keeping in mind though that we still have this area that needs to be filled, and we have this area over here that needs to be filled. So with that being said, we now have a situation where the daily is bearish and the 4 hour is bullish. So what we do in those cases is that we wait and check actually in session what price is doing, and thereby we can determine more or less what kind of trade we should be taking based on what it's doing in a session. When I say session, I'm referring to London and New York session or Asian session, right? Now, there's particular windows that I showed you guys last night where you can trade within. I'm not going to be focusing on that now. I just want you to actually see how this overall trade played out with some of the common tools that we would be using in this regard, right? Okay. So at this particular point, again, we now have a situation where the 4 hour has gone bullish while the daily is bearish. So in those cases, what you want to ask yourself is, am I at the point in the bearish move? If I want to be a bear, right, on the daily, am I at the correct point to sell from? So here's a zone. A supply zone is an area of sellers where sellers might come in, and there's another one. Now, if you ask yourself, where am I sort of over here? You're kind of not in either one of those zones. So if you're going to be a seller on the daily, we want to be a seller over here, right? However, we also know that there's another area of value situated in here, and that's where price was actually selling off from. Now, price was supposed to go down over there, right? That would be a continuation of the bearish trend. Let's actually look at what actually happens. So I'm going to take off this line for just some clarity. Right? What we do have is we have an area of demand over here. And price is currently in that. So what we want to do in this regard is we want to kind of pull our foot from the bottom up, since we're in an uptrend. And this is a note for yourself. We draw it in the direction of the trend, an uptrend on the 4 hour. We want to kind of look at anywhere below the 50 as an area for a potential bounce. That's just a potential bounce. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. So as you can see, this zone is perfectly in there. We could also then put on this zone over here, and even this zone, those two zones over here. Right? Let me take this off for clarity. So that would be how you would draw out your chart, right? And you'd be waiting to see in session. Ideally, this should have broken prior to London session. If this tends to hold, we now need to change our bias from down to possibly up. And the reason we need to do that is we are aware that we are now in a discount area on the 4 hour, but we are also in an overall uptrend on the 4 hour, right? Although we are still in the downtrend on the daily. And so we really, if we're going to continue the downward momentum, we're really going to kind of probably trade from here or trade from there down if price reaches up, right? Okay, so then what we will do in this regard is we'll wait for price to give us an indication of what it's going to do. So let's go down to the trusty 15 minute, and we're going to watch price to see if it wants to go down and break down, right? Now, I like to make sure that this is in London or New York session. So if I was to put London on, some of you know about the homework that I gave you guys last night. And so it's important for you to go and find out those particular areas, but you might catch it from this bit of a hint over here. Might catch one of them. I'm not going to show you where the close of that area is. Let's have a look at this. Line symbolizes when London, not the open, but rather the area in which you can possibly find a trade in. Now, what do we have so far over here? We have price not breaking down, right? And that's giving us an indication that we might see higher prices. Remember, this is that 4 hour zone. Also, we have, all our students know what I'm drawing on over here, right? I don't want to go too deep into that, but you know what I'm drawing. So then what we have is a area of demand over there. As you can see, the price went into that, and we also have another area of demand over here. The price went into that one as well. And then by implication, since we have now broken up again, we also have another area of demand over here. Sorry for the mess, guys. This is just to clarify what's going to happen. So now we are looking for buys. Why? Because the 4 hour failed to close and break through this particular area, and it was putting in higher prices. Let's give the view an opportunity to come right. Okay, it's now shot ahead. Let's go back again. And let's watch what happens when we come into that time window, right? And so price is falling prior to that. So now we're right at that particular time window, and we're gonna ask ourselves, what do we want to do? So as we can see, our last impulsive move was to the upside. We are in a 4 hour demand zone. So logic would suggest that we're going to look to buy from here and give our trade a little bit of breathing room. Now, where do we target? Where do we target? I'm going to go back up to the 4 hour for this one for you to see where we're going to target. Excuse TradingView taking its own time today, but I'm going to show you, and what you want to kind of do in terms of your targets is you want to use a concept about where did price come from and what did it achieve, right? That concept is going to be very important. Some people will call it strong highs, weak lows, or things like that, but you want to ask yourself, in terms of the way we trade, where did price come from and what did it achieve? Did it do anything, right? So let's have a look at the 4 hour again over here. Now, prior to it tapping into that area, we're going to have a look at that area again. We can see that the 4 hour broke down, but did the 4 hour put in a new low? No. This particular rally, base and drop, did it break any structures? No. So is this a good zone? No. Why? It didn't proceed to break out beyond an opposing structure. So therefore, I'm not going to look at this zone as an area to trade from, but I'm actually going to look beyond it as a target, because this zone is weak as it never put in a new low. Let's have a look at the 15-minute again. So with that in mind, the first target now is going to be this area over there. Nothing in here, and the reason I'm not going to be targeting that is I'm aware that on the 4 hour I am now bullish. I've gone below equilibrium. I've gone into a discounted market or a wholesale market, and now I'm looking to go up. Also, as you can see over here, there's a lot of equal highs. This is classic retail trader resistance, and the banks and institutions know that most stop losses are sitting just beyond these highs, and so therefore it's going to push price into that section. So you need to have a narrative behind your trade. You need to have a story, right? Okay, so then we're looking for price to come into that during that time window, and it taps in perfectly during that time window. It plays around there for a bit and starts moving up. Now here's where it gets interesting. So let's say perhaps you weren't confident taking this move as a drop down. Now we could even refine this even more in here, but we're not going to do that now, right? Let's say you weren't confident taking it as it drops down. So you then are going to wait for a break of structure above this high before you consider another trade. Let's see what happens. Price comes down and then breaks up. Now after price is broken up beyond that, you're going to look inside of this leg for good zones. And the first good zone you have is this one over here, right? And then the last good zone would be the zone where price actually came from, which is over here. Now, without putting the bottom one on, let's kind of look at this. Remember, this is still a 15-minute, and we could refine this down even to the 1 minute, even to the second time frame if we wanted to. But what I'm showing you here right now is what I spoke about earlier on. I want you to understand you do not have to be first in the market. Once you understand that, you're not going to be chasing candles, you're not going to be running after candles, trying to get in the trade, but you're going to wait for your edge to play out, right? So again, you can see that price has broken structure over there. We even have the other criteria as well. If you look very closely, I'm going to draw this line. You see that price has traded below that particular area and then broken up. So now let's look what happens if you take this one. If we break further down, I'm going to take it over there. So let's have a look, right? And we'll see even if we can get more entries. Price comes down. Okay, so we tagged in over there. We tagged in. Price comes down, flirts with our stop. And this is why you give yourself some breathing room. You can write this down for your notes. On a 15-minute, you want to give yourself, you can give yourself up to 2 pips over the actual stop loss, right? And if I make this exact over here, you're gonna see that it's about 1.5 pips, and about 2 pips over, you'd still be safe. So now let's watch what price is doing, and this is when it becomes powerful. We want to see some momentum come into the market, especially during a session. And price pushes up again. Price comes back down. And now price starts to run again. I want to see there's another opportunity or something. Okay. So at the moment, we have again another set of equal highs over there, which is retail resistance, especially on a lower time frame such as a 5 minute. Right? And there will be incentive for the market maker to kind of take that particular area out. So we look on the 5 minute again. We could then also have taken another. This is a drop. There's the base. There's the rally. Another trade in here. Now, the higher you go, the more risky the trades become, because you're getting high in the leg. But let's look at that again, right? What do we have there? We have the break on top. We have price coming down. So we have the break on top. We're making equal highs, and now we have price going back up, hopefully again, right? Price comes in, dips further down, and starts moving up again. There we go. Now again, we've broken up again. Perhaps there's another opportunity over here. Just want to hammer home the idea that you don't have to be first in the market if you have your biases correct. Let's see if we get that entry as well. Doesn't look like it, right? And there we go, prices run up, so we'll take this one off. There we got that entry. Prices run up all the way from the bottom to the top because of that zone holding. If we go back up to the 4 hour, why, again, let's want to recap why we took this area. Is because this area never caused the break of an opposing structure, so it's a weak zone. Even though it's got a good base and a drop, it doesn't go beyond the opposing structure, so it's weak. Price now reaches up for one of our supply zones on top, and if we wanted to be a seller, we're going to look for a breakdown inside of here of the price to drop further down. At that point, I'll be expecting this low to go as well. So as of now, I'm still bearish on the pound versus the dollar, unless we take out this particular area over here. I'd be inclined to then become bullish. Now that might mean that I set out some trades, and that's okay, because I'm following a specific set of rules and narrative. So I wanted to share that with you guys tonight, because I wanted to remind you, you do not have to be the first in the market. Now let me show you how you can make this even more amazing if you're willing to put in the extra time. So let me go back into that section again, and I'm just going to show you one particular setup which also follows the rules perfectly. I'm just taking off all these extra drawings here, and I'm going to show you once again how we could have gotten in this particular trade. So let's replay prior to price coming into this area. Remember, we have a 15-minute zone over here. Right? This time we're going to go to the 1 minute, and we're going to watch it come into that 15-minute zone that we have defined over there. So price is moving around, comes down. Okay. Price comes down into that 1 minute, puts in a low, puts in a high. Let's have a look at this. A low and a high. That leaves us with this is the 1 minute, leaves us with more or less a zone over here. Right? So we're going to put our long position on, cover it. When you're doing the 1 minute, just going over by 1 pip is good enough. The target on this one will be the same over there. Okay. The watch price goes up, and this is where you must not chase. You got to be patient for it to come back to your zone. Most times it will. Okay, we got tagged in over there. It pushes deeper. Okay, stops us out. And that's fine. That's fine. Right? We're going to follow the criteria. We know that this zone is the zone we want to trade from, and we have not yet violated that zone. So let's move on again. And let's see. And move further lower. So far we've got another drop down. Let's have a look. Not yet. And okay. Another drop down. And we have a move up that breaks over there. So then our next zone would be over here. Right? And we will take another long from that particular point. And the target remains exactly the same. We will give that long position over here some room to breathe. Okay. Let's watch what happens. Okay, we get tagged in. Price messes around, flirts with the stop loss again, and starts moving. Now we have another break over here. Right. So if we wanted to, could get in over here again. So I'm just showing you the confluence of the actual lower time frame, right? And for you guys who are watching this for the first time on YouTube, this is the kind of stuff we do in our mentorship, in our live training sessions, right? We follow a specific set of rules and narrative. So okay, again, we'd be tagged in over there. Goes close to the stop again. Okay, we're still in this trade. And we break up again. At this point, we either look here for another trade. We still have the bottom one on, right? Okay, so price is just going now. And again, we have the exact same target, and bang. Now price has hit that target. Now the risk to reward is greater on this trade because of patience, right? Patience. And even if we look at what price is doing now, let's have a look at that. We've now broken this major swing over there. So let's see when price comes back in if it gives us an opportunity. See, it's just making lower lows, lower highs. Okay, this is promising. There's a breakdown, and let's break up over here. And let's have a look at this, possibly there. We come through it, that's fine. If it's run away completely, that's also okay. We're still in the original trade from the bottom, and seems I prophesied that it's run away from us, but nevertheless we fulfilled a specific set of rules, and it was just not meant to be on this particular trade. There are some more trades in here that we could have taken, but that's ideally what, or inevitably what has happened. Over there, price has gone there. Now that was the first target, right? What if we held it all the way up to the target of the 4 hour? All of a sudden, based on that 1 minute, you are now looking at a risk to reward of 1 to 38. That's crazy. And I'll tell you, you won't get all of that because you'll be partialing along the way, and you might get stopped out with a trailing stop as well as price goes up But that's the concept, people. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the concept. What do you do when you get into a situation where price is not doing what you expected to do? You have to learn to adapt. You have to watch the market in session. Now, if you go and pay attention to what I've taught you so far, and you put on that particular time frame or time window that I gave you in last night's class, you're going to see another entry, in fact multiple entries in that area that you could have taken to ride you up even more. I've given you now another start time for those of you who are savvy enough to watch and realize that I've given you another pointer in that area of time frames, and you can use that to go on to take that particular trade or to set up a trade in that particular area. With that being said, that's kind of been what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. I hope that you find some value in it. If you're watching this on Facebook in our private group, I hope you find some value in it. If you are watching it on YouTube, because this is a kind of a trade recap that I'm adding on YouTube, then I'd invite you to comment at the bottom and just share if you found some value. But more than anything, please like and subscribe. We'd appreciate that. If you want to find out more about us as well, drop us a comment below and we'll send you some information regarding our academy. With that being said, we are Kingdom Day Traders. We operate on the principle called mindset, multiplication, and management. Our duty is to touch 10,000 lives, families, children. We want to help people all around and across the globe. We are doing that at the moment. We are Kingdom institution with kingdom-based values. But above all else, we want you to understand that we want to serve. We want to help and just serve people. So if you want to find out more about us, you can get in contact with us. Just drop us a comment. We like that kind of engagement, and we'll make some time to actually communicate with you. So with that being said, mindset, multiplication, and management. Thank you so much. Stay blessed.